Streaming. Start recording. I hit. Oh. Yes, it's voice activated. Anyways, I'm leaving this down for a moment. But all right, so welcome to Green Light. I'm going to get myself in the camera here. Sorry. Welcome to Green Light. This is, of course, everybody knows now. Most of you guys are here to pitch. There are some extra people. But we know how Green Light works. It is a process in which you pitch your idea, and then if we, the faculty, like your idea, we put you into production studios where you get a whole team, right? Artists, designers, and programmers all in one to work on your game ideas, your tools, and other things. This is kind of the bread and butter of UAT, to be honest with you. And the Green Light itself, a lot of work has been put in by the game faculty to make it where it is. Nobody more than Lynn Understiller. Let's give Lynn Understiller a hand for all the work that she does. So, as I said before, she does the most work, but you guys are the ones that make it in the end work. Without you guys, without these games, without these awesome ideas, the passion and so on, we would not have this. And nothing shows how passionate you guys are than today, because we have 17 pitches. If you guys haven't seen that itinerary yet, 17 pitches, which is the most we've had in 4 years, ever since this even started, before we even had standards set for what it is. You guys are coming in with a lot of great ideas. We're going to see a lot of diversity of projects. So good luck to everybody. Anyway, so just moving on quickly, because we want to kind of move into it since we have so many pitches. Let's start with announcements with Derek Clark.
So I'm going to try to keep this short. I'll do my standard plugs. I don't stand in front of the camera. Make sure you're joining all of our social media and hub-based pages. If you're not following me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, things like that, you're a horrible failure as a human being. So please do that. Matt mentioned, this is our green light pitch. This is definitely a lot of pitches. Obviously, we're not going to green light 18, 17 projects, so I apologize in advance for breaking your hearts. But if you do not get selected, we still want to support you. So if you're working, on the side, we'll still try to get as many resources towards you as we can. Also, if you pitch and don't make it, we encourage you to come and talk to us, and we will sit down and tell you why. It's not because we don't like you.
Maybe it is.
Matt might not like you. But it usually is because either you didn't quite match up to another project, or sometimes it just comes down to slots, right? Like there's only so many slots, I only have so many developers, and also game style, right? If I have, I don't, but if I have 9 first-person shooter pitches, we're not going to do 9 first-person shooters. If there's 9 first-person shooters, 1 VR thing, 1 mobile thing, and 1 RTS thing, those have a higher chance of getting in. It's not automatic, but we do look at that. We do look at the mix and things like that. So we will tell you, honestly, why you didn't get picked. And we encourage you to pitch again. We've had a lot of projects that had to pitch a couple times to get in. So, let's move on. I think that's pretty much it. Quick on the studio. The studio definitely strives to mimic the production experience, but also be transparent in what's going on. So we do post a lot of stuff on YouTube. We talk about what's going on behind the scenes. We post our stand-ups and different things like that, what a lot of companies won't do. We encourage you guys to take these games, form an LLC, make your own company, and sell them. That's a great perk. And some of them are linked to external partnerships, which is a great networking opportunity. So, I say we move forward and keep the announcement short. Lynn, what do you want me to say?
Game Job Fair.
Game Job Fair. So January 12th, 17th. 12th. So in the spring, usually the end of the first week, we run the Game Job Fair. That's both for internal recruitment to the studio, but also if you don't get picked, you're more than welcome to kind of set up a table and say, hey, I'm looking for more people to help me work on my prototype, or help me get this ready for the next pitch, or work on the project on the side and things like that. We do want to be a conduit, whether it's inside the studio or just inside of UAT, to making sure projects get done. Everything's about doing projects and getting projects done. If you graduate with completed projects, maybe shipping in the Steam store, maybe not, but at least completed, you go out there with experience, and that puts you a leg up on a lot of different candidates. So mark your calendars. That's a Friday, Lynn?
Yes.
Should be the Friday of the first week. Is when we normally do that. So again, whether you get picked for Greenlight or not, we welcome you. Please attend that event and set up a table and recruit people. There's a lot of students. And how many freshmen do we have in the room today? Love it. We've been saying, so you guys all plug your ears. We've been saying this is one of our, and I'm sorry for this group here, one of our best freshman classes we've had in a long time. So they are like way better than you guys. But that also means we do have this big bubble of students who might not be in the studio yet, but are itching. You know, it's like on our last game jam, the Founders Game Jam, half of the participants were freshmen. Right? I've got a group right now that's itching to develop and build stuff and learn. That's a great resource if you're not part of, you don't get picked for Greenlight. You can still put a team together and do some awesome stuff and then be that much ahead for the next Greenlight pitch. So I really encourage you to take part in the game job fair because a lot of the freshmen aren't signed up for the studio yet. They're not quite getting there just because of prereqs and things like that. So please participate in that. We can definitely help you guys out. Anything else, Miss Lynn?
That's it.
All right. I'm going to try to take some pictures and tweet your projects out as we go. So we'll see how successful I am. If you're following me, you'll be able to follow along. All right. I'm going to let Matt do the call you up, and we will move forward.
All right, cool. So Lynn wants me to turn the camera. I can't even tell if I'm in it because I don't see the screen. So anyways, who cares? Nobody wants to see this ugly face. All right. So like I said, we're going to do the pitches now. Keep it 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll tell you to get down and give that cane and pull you off. That'd be actually really fun. There we go. Tyler's got the cane. Anyways, keep it 5 minutes. I'm going to announce the team that goes first, and then I'll say, here's the team on the queue. So we'll start with Bart with Reign in Rebellion. We always start with the first team, or the first teams we do anyways, are returning games. This is actually the only returning game. All the other ones are new games. However, we do have some returning teams with different games. So first one is Bart with Reign in Rebellion. Then in the queue will be Austin and Tyler with Communication Meltdown, their VR game. Bart, where are you? There you are. Come on down.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bart Driscoll, and as you might have heard, I am the project lead for the game Reign in Rebellion. What is this? Oh, come on.
You need permission to use your stuff.
Well, that's a shame. Yes, I did.
There you are. Yeah, this might be a problem for some of you guys, too. We should have just downloaded it to the desktop.
It's gonna ask me this. It's a good thing I'm going first. Yeah, it's fine. You know what it is.
4 minutes left. But the people online do not know.
What is this? Sure.
No, but they're watching you put in all of his credentials.
It looks like that. Send to another account.
What do you mean?
This weekend, Bart.
Just make a new incognito tab if you can. Yeah, just click there and open up new tab. Try it again, Google Drive. Yeah. You'd have no idea this is a returning team.
Well,
How many times have you done this, Bert?
It's the first time I've seen them.
Now you are down to 4 minutes.
yeah. Like I said, it's good I'm going first. And we're here. Good. So yes, I'm the project lead for Reign in Rebellion. This is technically not my project. This is a project from two industry veterans that worked for over a decade at EA, Doug Doyne and Daryl Warford. They came to the school a year ago with an idea and just a simple GDD, and they wanted not only our input on the game, but also to see what we could do with their idea. The game itself is 100% student-made. Most of the features and foundation is in the game right now, and the only thing we need going forward is to really polish up what we have in there to make it perfect, to make gameplay fun. Yeah. So yeah, we need to get a lot more gameplay balancing in there and game mode balancing, as well as optimizing the code for all of that, making sure the game mode works perfectly, it starts perfectly, people get in, they move around fine, they can hit each other, they can play the game pretty much, and then it closes out and it says your team won. And who we need to really take this game forward to where we want it into the area of polish is character artists, concept artists, UI artists and designers, gameplay designers, database programmers, and sound engineers to really pull this game together. And we do now have internships, so if you're looking to get that class out of the way, all you need to do is double up on your hours and you're good. If you want to check out the game right now, you can download the build at RainerRebellion.com. It'll take you somewhere else, but yeah, that's where it is. Thank you.
As I mentioned, Communication Meltdown next. After them will be Dakota and Roger with Graffiti.
Good morning, my name is Austin Harrington. I am the lead designer for Monster Vault Entertainment. Over the last 2 semesters, I have greenlit a game called Call Center Simulator. We were really successful with it, and so we have another VR game we want to pitch today that we feel really excited about. I'm going to start by showing you a short trailer, showing off some of our art, and I'm going to talk about what the game is and what we're looking to do with it. Alright, so great environmental art, but what is the game? What is going on here?
I stopped presenting.
Why did you stop presenting?
No,
Oh no, it's there. Okay. So what is this game? It is a 4-player cooperative virtual reality experience. This is a social game kind of built around getting and executing directions from other players. So there are 4 players in our game. There are 3 employees and a boss. The boss will be given a list of commands that each player must complete, a sequence to turn on this nuclear reactor whose coolant system is not online. It's going to be chaotic. So the boss will be able to see what each player needs to do, but has to communicate that to each player. The trick is the only way you can speak to your boss is by holding a phone up to your head. The tasks that you must complete require 2 hands, which means you'll have to be able to process the information you're getting from your boss, execute, pick up the phone, make sure you did it right, and then as each player completes their tasks, you'll move on to new sequences to turn on this reactor. We do randomize the game, so there will be potentially unlimited replayability, and we've got a pretty good system for that now. In terms of next semester, what we'd like to do is between 2 and 5 levels. We are giving ourselves some leeway because we want to see how big the team is. We do have an existing team that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but we are looking to bring on 2 to 3 more designers, 3 to 5 more artists, and 3 to 4 programmers. As you can see, our art style is kind of 3D sci-fi, epic, unreal, but we also wanted to have a little bit of Homer Simpson's console from The Simpsons, right? We wanted to have a lot of buttons and levers and dials and every other thing. We are using Unity, and we are programming in C#. So, do you mind muting? Let me talk a little bit about Monster Vault. Monster Vault is an alumni studio founded by Michael Densmore. As our art instructors know, Marquit, Lynn, Portillo, you guys all know Mike. He's one of the best artists this school has ever put out. He's also a hell of a boss. He's a great educator. He's done really great by us. He came in after I had started Call Center Simulator. He was really interested in what we were doing with my team. He brought us all in, and he has been a great help to us. We currently have a team of 17 people with Monster Vault. We are kind of pushing for a couple games right now. Obviously, Call Center Simulator has come a long way, and we are doing Meltdown. As you can see, we have a list of titles that are in process or released. There's another one on here called Chill Out that we actually debuted last night. I am going to skip past this because we don't have a lot of time, but we go through Spray and Pray, Dungeon Defenders, Flub Fighter, everything that we've kind of started with, we've got in here. So why greenlight us? This is I think, our best sales pitch. Education. Lynn, Marquit, Portillo, you've seen our artists, right? You've seen Nick Tweed, you've seen Mac, you've seen Spencer. The quality of their art over the last 2 semesters has radically improved. The reason for that is every weekend Mike Demo is in here for hours teaching them the tools and his workflow. If you look at Nick Tweed specifically, who's the only one that's been with us for 2 semesters, Nick's workflow, the quality of his art, and the speed at which he completes it has radically improved in a short amount of time. Mike wants to continue to work with our artists. Education has been so great for us. We want to continue to give back to the UAT community. We are an alumni studio. We have an insane leadership team right now. We do have Mike Demo, who's been on so many projects at this school that it's insane. Dungeon Defenders, Flub Fighter. What else do we got?
Booty Bandits.
Booty Bandits, yeah. So he's been all over, along with a bunch of Monster Vault titles. We have Tyler Cook, who ran TD Dub.
5 minutes.
Okay. Last pitch. Teachers, no spatial OS. No spatial OS on this game.
Nice.
That's it. We released in 2019. Thank you so much.
All right, like I said, Dakota and Roger are next with Graffiti. After them will be Bryce with Empathic Symmetry.
Okay, so I'm Dakota Stoner. Roger?
Roger Shulligan. So a little bit of background here. I came to Dakota and asked him if he would pitch a project for me because I've been working a full-time job, and we were both some of the original creators on Morpheus. So this is under the same company, Infinitive Game Studios. We're working on our next project here, Project Graffiti, and this is going to be under him. So he's project lead, I'm product owner.
So starting out, I'm gonna play a little bit of this video. Yeah.
Nervous.
Yeah.
So Harlan, a long time ago, he made this this little cartoon for a game called Justice Punch, and I looked at it and I said, "Wow, we could really use this art style in another game." And we conceptualized Graffiti. Graffiti is like a paint-based game, but we're trying to get away from like so this is like this is gonna be an arena-style tank shooter, but with a lot of like hoodlums and tagging bases. So we want to pull from this art style here. We want to have a lot of vibrant colors, and we want to play with spray paint. So like I mentioned, it's a multiplayer arena tank shooter. We're not going to focus on multiplayer the first semester. We're going to focus more on a single game mode. We're going to have one gang type. We're just going to try to make this very awesome vertical slice that we can expand on in the next the following semesters. The cool thing about this game is it looks comic book-esque, and the people, they're actually paint. So if you get hit and you die, you will splatter onto the ground. And of course, the core mechanic is tagging territory. So everything we do is based on tagging. We even have a game mode conceptualized where you tag little minions, and then they join your side. So there's a lot of things we can do with this whole territory mechanic. Would you like to try?
Yeah. So the thing that we want to be focused on in the first semester is Tag the Base. It's going to be a free-for-all, 2 to 4 players. There's going to be infinite lives, point systems in it. The goal is to tag base. It's control, technically. trying to control bases, make them yours, and the more that you control, the more points you get.
In our build, we have it where you can tag turrets, and those will target the opposite team. So that's kind of like a basic example of what we could do with this tagging system. Now you can skip that one. We just went over that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we want to go, like I mentioned it in that first slide, but we're going for that very vibrant color theme, and we want some of the textures to be gritty. So we want it to look like you're in like a beat down city. There's destruction, and people are just going it's like mayhem, and it's going to have like a comic book-esque feel.
So the people that we'll need gameplay programmers, people that know how C# works and can work in Unity. Possibly multiplayer programmers might push back on that.
So with that multiplayer programmer, I'm looking for someone who can do a lot of HTTP stuff. So I'm going to sit down and teach them. I'm actually considering buying a server for this, a very small one, where we can upload like leaderboard stats and all that. And I can educate those. I know how to do that stuff. So you'll get that if you were to work on this project.
We'll also need 3D character artists, stylized and animated, and level designers, people who can help build the levels and figure out the flow.
Tie them into the game mode.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the controls of that bag.
Where's it at?
It's the brown bag.
We don't have a whole lot of time, do we?
49 seconds.
Okay, we got time.
Yeah, we can do this.
This was made back in like, what was it, like February? So this is like old, but we do have, you can play co-op, so we're going to do that. And we made this in like, probably like 48 hours. This is part of the game jam back in, I don't remember the month, but it was early this year.
I think it was global.
I was too focused on Morpheus to expand this, but now we're ready to push it through studios. So you can see these tanks, they're powered by like paint. That's our little particle system there. So we need artists to really bring out that style. But there is an opposite base here that we can go to and tag, and we can also kill each other and pop out of the tanks. But yeah, that's our build. So we have all that stuff set up. Yeah, that is Project Graffiti. I'm Roger Shulligan, and this is Dakota Stoner. He's going to be the lead on the project.
So next is Bryce with Empathic Symmetry. After him will be Donald and Trident.
Where are you? There you are. Let's go there. Alright, so I'm Bryce Mangus. I'm here pitching Empathic Symmetry. Joined by Justin Cooper, my programmer, my only programmer. Thank you. And Elizabeth Taylor is there sitting in, she's one of our designers. So Empathic Symmetry, originally it was a SIP idea that I came up with a couple months ago, back I want to say early February, late February maybe. We're going to be building it in Unity for PC platform. The game itself is a single player, third-person action-adventure game focusing on the main character, the player you, jumping through the emotions through the human psyche and playing through each emotion, solving their challenges and puzzles. What's special about it is that it is a SIP project where we are using the current team here, myself, artist Darby Turner, she's been doing a lot of the concept art for us, programmer, and our designers Elizabeth and Jeremy, who have been working on the first couple levels for us. Back to the SIP, we're using the EEG headset that we have here in the tech lab to make a system where it reads the player's performance metrics and takes their stress levels, their interest levels, and incorporate them into the gameplay as the player is playing through. With this, we tend to kind of tie it together so that way as the player is playing through the emotions, if they're getting more stressed, it makes the gameplay harder. The intent for this is to teach the player to calm down, look at the situation, and break it down and make it easier for them. As their stress levels reduce, the game gets easier. The art style we're looking for is a 3D surreal kind of art style, lots of colors. Each level representing a different emotion are each going to have different color sets, all to represent specifically the emotion that you're running through. We have a bit of the concept art that Darby has been working for us for the main characters. What we have so far, the project itself is still just a babby. We have the GDD set up, the art style guide set up, and we have, like I said, some concept art that Darby's been working on us. But we do still need to put together builds and everything like that. We're starting to work on as far as building levels, but we do need a lot. What we plan to do for the first semester is, this is more of an order of importance. We absolutely need the integration of the EEG headset in for the gameplay to even function. But we're planning on going with that, getting a proof of concept of the whole headset working in-game, working towards a playable prototype of showing off different mechanics that work with the headset, ultimately finishing about 2 to 3 of the completed levels, and by the end of the semester, hopefully having a playable demo. What we need, as I said, we only have one programmer, so we need more programmers. Anyone well-versed in C# will be more than happy to take you. We also absolutely need more people who are interested in learning about how to use the EEG headset itself. We've been going through a lot of trial and error with it, and it's been quite a cruel mistress this last semester as we've been working on it. So by far the most we need is programmers. Artists, we also definitely need. We only have the one artist. That's going to range from anywhere from doing environment art to characters, creatures, and we can also use animators for it as well. Designers, we could also use designers for both levels, mechanics to work with the headset itself, and ultimately UI and user experience. And that's the project. I wasn't going to try to.
What's the name of your project again?
All right, so Donald will try is next, and then Lindsay and Caitlin with Buzzkill will be after them.
You download, let's check our streaming for her before you start. Seems okay. All right, thanks.
Humanity is under attack, beset by giant monsters from parts unknown. The last line of defense, the giant machines we've built to protect ourselves. Piloted by brave warriors, the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. This is not Pacific Rim, or Lost Planet, or Power Rangers. But who doesn't love a story about giant robots, or giant monsters, or the two of them fighting? I mean, obviously people like that story. So this is Trident. Trident is a turn-based strategy game, pitting 4 players controlling the giant tridents to try and stem the tide of the Leviathans, trying to wipe out all of humanity. The Leviathans are extra deadly, because they're controlled by a 5th player whose sole goal is the extinction of humanity. In addition to being a physical board game you can go home and play with your friends, Trident will also be a mobile game, where with any combination of either AI or players controlling the various factions, you'll be able to play on the go. So, where did Trident come from? Justin Crow is a hobbyist board game maker who's been doing this for about 20 years up in Toronto, Canada. And I had the opportunity to play his Pacific Rim fan game, and it's one of the most fun board games I've ever had the opportunity to play. We had 4 players controlling the Jaegers versus Justin controlling the Kaiju. First, we had the macro level. How do we spread out our Jaegers to protect the entirety of the Pacific Rim? How do we spend our points to increase and get new levels of tech? Now, unlike a lot of games where you have a whole lot of people trying to deal with that macro strategy, we didn't run into that problem of having too many cooks in the kitchen. And then, on the individual scale, 1 to 2 players controlling their Jaegers in a fight directly against the Kaiju, we were able to invest and have direct control on how the conflict was going to go. And it didn't matter if I was playing or if I was watching somebody else in the fight, because every battle determined the course of the war. I was always engaged. It didn't matter if I was the one actually playing. So, how did the Pacific Rim game play? It's pretty simple once you break it down. First, you build your Jaegers. You roll a pool of 10 dice, the dice size based on the tech level. That determines your stats, which you then buy equipment. You select your pilots, name your Jaeger, and then drop it at a Shatterdome. The Kaiju player then generates the Kaiju. They roll their threat. The more higher level of threat they have, you can get things like higher categories of Kaiju or more Kaiju spawning. They roll the stats, they roll the abilities, and then they roll the target city. And then it's time to fight. So based on the response positioning that the Jaegers have, they roll their response time to see how quickly they get there. You engage in combat, always rolling your dice, looking for 4s for successes, and then you award experience. So then you reset the war clock. Based on how the kaiju did, how many Jaegers it killed, how many cities it destroyed, you check to see if the threat increases. With the new experience the players have got, they can research new levels of technology, increase their Jaeger and pilot's abilities, relocate Jaegers to shatter domes that are now missing some, and build new Jaegers. After you reach threat level 5, you can assault the breach. You create your drop team, you strap a nuke to one of their backs, and you drop them down. They have to deliver the nuke past the defenders of the breach. Then, if your scientists have had enough time, and you make the roll, you can possibly win the game, delivering the nuke through the breach and destroying it. At the end of every single game, you look at which kaiju did the most damage, had the most Jaeger kills, killed the most cities, and they're added to the Hall of Fame. And if the players won, you do the same for the best performing Jaeger, and those guys can show up in later games you play. So what do I want to do with Trident? Well, first, I want to work on the physical game and get that to be something. I mean, obviously, we can't afford to license from Legendary, so we have to make it all our own content. So I want to focus on the rule set, rebalancing it so it's more of a 50-50 win rate for both sides, creating the new flavor and description so we don't have any of that Pacific Rim content in there, and then working on the layout because presentation is a key part of design. We want to make sure that both the Trident and Leviathan player handouts are easy to read, as well as the general rule set and the individual character cards. We also want to start working on the actual play pieces. This is going to be some actual physical prototyping. We need to figure out how to have the system map for the macro strategy, the buildable terrain tiles so you can create each of the battlefields, as well as the tokens for Tridents, Leviathans, and any conventional forces. In parallel, I want to focus on building the tools for the digital game. So first off, a big component is rolling dice. And there aren't a whole lot of satisfactory dice rollers out there. So through a combination of haptic and audio feedback, if we can make something that's authentic feeling, we'll be on the big first step to making Trident in a digital space. I also want to look at the customization for the Tridents and Leviathans, because that's something we can do in the digital space. I want a base model that's both rigged and textured for both sides, as well as 2 arm, leg, torso, and head sets, so that way we get a nice spread of what we could be doing. And those are the major goals for Trident. We want that playable physical prototype by the end of the semester, we want to have our initial digital tools, and we want to start building an audience, going to game shops, conventions, and whatnot, and showing off the game. Because the problem we always have is, you made the game, you released it, but who's going to play it? And so from day one, I want to start building that audience. So I'm Donald Shepis, and I hope we all get to work together on Trident. Thank you.
10 seconds to spare. Good job.
With that 10 seconds done.
All right.
That creator of the board game you talked about, is he on board with you? Is he somebody?
I've got the full license, so he's just going to be seeing how it goes. He's not actually in charge of the project.
Okay.
Cool. All right, up next will be Lindsay and Caitlin and Buzzkill. After them, Jerry with Looters of Arcane. Of the I am.
It's okay. I looked.
Oh, I forgot to
They want to
mention,
be over there.
these are first-term students.
They want to be over there. Come here. Come here.
Go team.
Where is it?
It's on.
That one. No.
It was up there. Try another window. Nice. Okay. What percent? So, the game we're pitching you today is Buzzkill, and this was developed over the course of the semester by myself, Lindsay Boggs,
Me, Caitlin Kohler.
Tyler King.
Naomi Law.
So, to introduce yourselves, like we just said, sorry. I'm a game designer. I'm the team leader of Buzzkill.
I'm Lindsay. I'm also a game designer and co-team leader.
And I'm Tyler, the game designer.
You already know my name. I'm art and animation major.
Who we need? We need 3 programmers, 1 artist, and 1 sound and audio designer. The programmers is open for discussion because we currently have 1 on board, but it's not indefinite. Our pitch to you. Buzzkill is an endless run and simulation with an invisible enemy chaser. It's a 2D side-scroller with a left directional flow and a profile camera view. Our disclaimer to you is the following presentation is made on the premise that the theme surrounds a bee and a dog in an airport. The theme remains open to change. The mechanics are what we are truly pitching. What makes Buzzkill different? It has a left directional flow that is used to challenge a player because it goes against the reading eye movement in the Western cultures. It is also a signature element of the game, which sets it apart. Another main thing is our animal characters. It differs from the normal humans that we play with. It's also set in an airport, and we can play as the antagonist-protagonist.
So our intended platform for Buzzkill would be the iOS App Store, the Android, or the Google Play Store. And the game engine that we'll be using it on is Construct 3. And our intended art would be 2D and / cartoony art, and we already have some examples for the main characters and the enemy art.
Our main character name is Ego with Napoleon complex. Clearly, he will be the protagonist / antagonist. Beware of him. And our protagonist is our hero dog, Atlas. Say some of our best features of the game. The attacks will be mostly defense for the best offense. Our DLCs will be granted through microtransactions or in-game money, and the enemies will have their own wider range of attacks and weaponry.
Alright, so the game universe is set in John F. Kennedy Airport on any normal peaceful day, until our main character, Ego, enters the scene. He's causing chaos and wreaking havoc everywhere that he flies. Our game modes, we have several modes to play. So the question is, how do you want to play? The first mode is the campaign mode, which is our story. This is broken down into 3 main quests. The first of which, Ego learns that he has Napoleon complex. The second quest is where he gains trust and makes a friend. And the third quest, they venture too close to the airport and things do not end well for them.
Our next game mode that we would like to talk about is the Endless Run mode, where it's the basic life or death chase between B and K9. Our unlockable modes that we have provided for you are the Hellhound, which Atlas gains fire breath, which incinerates Ego on impact, and the Bulldog mode, which gives Atlas the ability to project saliva projectiles, which decreases Ego's speed on impact for a limited time. Our user interface. On the left-hand side, we have the start that include our 3 game mode runs, with our shop that includes our pocket change in USD, our power-ups, soundtracks, and aesthetics, and on our right side, we have the options that controls the audio, soundtracks, and aesthetics. And we also show our leaderboards that have highest score, and best time.
And this is our in-game user interface. We have score counter, projectile sting, and basis sting on the left side. And we have coin bank and pause menu on which you can access your power-ups, your audio controls, and soundtracks. And the B has multiple upgrades and power-ups, such as the projectile stinger, which allows the B to use projectile stings, and the golden wing, which is a stability upgrade, and racing straps, which is a speed upgrade. The dog has upgrades such as the security badge, which gives Atlas a speed boost for 10 seconds.
So your movement is fairly simple within the game. You swipe up to go outward, you swipe down to go inward. But now let's talk buzzness. Christ. It's a free-to-play game, but definitely not a pay-to-win. The profit will be made through microtransactions. What will be available will be pocket change, the in-game currency, power-ups, soundtracks, and character aesthetics. Some of the character aesthetics will include dog costumes and breeds, and the theme aesthetics will be free.
Alright, so while that's what we have so far, we also have other features in consideration. The first of which is the multiplayer, which players will be able to engage in asymmetrical, not asynchronous, but asymmetrical gameplay as either Ego or Atlas. Secondly, we're considering a Chihuahua mode, which increases the speed of the dog by 10 and also gives him a booming bark ability, which disables all of Ego's power-ups.
There you go. Wrap it up.
Alright, we also have B upgrades, and you should,
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much our project. We're open to other theme ideas as well, was a major point that we were going to make. It doesn't need to be just the bee and the dog, but we're open to other themes.
Yes.
All right, next team, Jared Looters of the Arcane. After him, Marcos with Rift Wars.
Hello everyone, I'm Regis Jerry. I am the project lead for Looters of the Arcane. It's a game where you traverse time, fight when you can, run when you can't. Currently we have a GDD for the prototype that we ended up making and a full GDD, which I'll show at the end. The team that we ended up having was for the Greenlight Game Jam. We were one of the only teams that was out there, and we had a lot of fun with it. We had the designers, you had the project lead and the design lead. But Dakota is going to be leaving us, unfortunately. So we will have a designer slot open. We had 2 programmers. We had Cooper and Fred. Cooper worked on a door, and Fred did everything else. And then for the modeling and texturing, we actually brought Jeff on. We managed to wrangle him up, and he helped our other artists, Jessica and James, learn a little bit about Substance, and we were able to expand skill sets on the fly to be able to make a really good looking level. We started building from the ground up and also down. We do have a basement in our level. And then we decided to make it bigger. We initially only wanted 3 floors, but we ended up making it 4 floors high. And it ended up being a little bit confusing because we were going for a maze and we ended up getting lost our own level. So we're featuring 3 floors in a basement to explore, enemies to fend off, only 1 arcane object, and secure that asset. If you can. And then we have a game demo. To cut this short, I'll try to bring this up a little bit. Apparently not. Yeah. Going forward, what we're going to need is artists. That's the main thing that we're going to be looking for, because the main issue that we ended up having was the scene didn't really feel that it had enough substance. So we'll need artists to help us out with the set design. And then I want to bring on at least 1 other designer so that we can try to make 2 new levels. And then our programmers, we need somebody that knows C# pretty well. And I'm hoping that we can end up getting somebody for multiplayer, because that is one of the major features, because it is a survival horror game. And we are hoping that we can have 4-player co-op up and running at the end of the first semester. And then we do need sound, because what game is good without sound? So for semester 1, we want to rebuild the asylum bigger and better. We want to build 1 new level to go along with it, and then we want to set up the multiplayer. For the second semester, we want to create new and interesting content. We want to expand with 2 new levels from there, and then improve the multiplayer if it is functioning. And then with the final semester, it would be polishing, expanding with 1 final level, and then including anything that is not yet implemented. And I do plan to hopefully release this game to the public. If not for free, just on Backwards website, then it would be nice to have it on Steam, if at all possible. But most of all, we want to have fun, and I'd like to thank you for your consideration. And then here, really quickly, I will show you, potentially, it's one of these.
Every other game.
Yep. Yeah, so this was for the prototype. It was just a few pages long, so that we could end up trying to get these items done. The programmers were able to easily come in and then find items that they wanted to work on. Cooper had the unfortunate choice to pick the door first, and then Fred was able to come through and then continue working on the other stuff. Like, we can pick up and move items, and we can also grab the object and then escape in the time limit. The enemies do scare us, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I didn't think it was scary at first until I caught myself screaming. Mostly because he did come through a wall at me. Because we are looking to make it stylized. So for the main one, let's go over to art. We wanted to have, going back in time. So we could have a Greek level where it would actually be Greek in the time period that the Greeks were actually, up and running. Egyptian, because if you're going to be going back in time, you want to go back to Egypt. The Roman era, I know that it kind of matches along with the Greek era. However, the Romans had a little bit different style, so I thought that would be interesting. And then the early 1900s was the level that we chose for our prototype. So it's a little bit dark, and what we wanted is that when you're entering the level, it would look nice, bright, vibrant, happy, because that's how it looks in present day. And then the second that you pass through the time rift, it actually ends up turning into the dark atmosphere. Thank you for your time.
Right, Marcos and Rift Wars is next. After him will be Tyler with Battleground Legacy.
Hello, my name is Marcos Escobar, and today I'm presenting Rift Wars for the Greenlight. Rift Wars. I'm sorry, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep. Rift Wars is a digital card game which will be on PC and will hopefully run on the Unity engine. I think the thing double-clicked. Oh. So the idea behind Rift Wars is that it's a 3-deck system card game where players are given the objective of killing their opponent's general, which acts as their representative within the game. You'll be doing this by utilizing 3 different card types, which are your soldiers, your territories, and your equipment. For the game's art style, I wanted to go with a simple 2D art style because it is a card game and it works better like that. I wanted to go with different types of art styles revolving around a very core idea, but having the artists have a little bit of fun of what they can do with the different art. The game's features are the 3-deck system that I've mentioned, which takes the traditional single-deck system that most card games use, and takes away a little bit of the luck that most card games are played with. There's also a level of resource management with you having to defend certain resource objects on your side of the field. And this is also a SIP project for those who need to get in a SIP team for their graduation. So the card types are your general card, which acts as your representative, as I said before, the unit card, which is your soldier, the territory card, which is your resource bonuses, and the equipment, which are your upgrades and bonuses that you can add to your soldiers. Once you lose your general card, you lose the game. Territories can be attacked and destroyed, but they cannot fight back. And same goes with unit cards, even though they can fight back. What is done, I have the starting deck of cards already finished. I have the rules done, I have the GDD finished. I also have some of the starting card art finished as well. I've also imported this into Tabletop Simulator, and I've tested some of the mechanics out in there. I've been working on this for 2 semesters already, so I've done a lot of work on it. I just need some people to come in and help me a little bit more on the project. Here's a picture of it in Tabletop Simulator along with the board that I made. So what I want to get done, I want to get the first 2 factions finished by the end of the first semester. I want a functioning game engine, not necessarily have all the features in and ready to go, but at least something where we can just show off to people in like a video or something. Finish the first set of factions artwork, finalize the rules, make sure everything's ready to go, and we can just build up on top of that, and have a beta version of the game ready in Tabletop Simulator. For what I need are another designer to help me with the rules and some more of the GDD, 4 artists to help with the card art, and 2 programmers to start working on the engine because I know nothing about programming. And that's it. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, Tyler's up next with Battleground Legacy, and after him will be John with Legion. John's on the There you go.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Osborne, but many of you may know me as Ozzy. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Battleground Legacy. And a quick show of hands, who plays a trading card game? Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And then of those, how many of you have felt that you've gotten cheated because you didn't roll a dice? You didn't roll the dice, you lost at rock, paper, scissors, stuff like that. So, Battleground Legacy fixes that. It is a SIP project that is going through the SIP process and will be presented at the next SIP fair. So if you are on the team, you can actually claim this as a SIP. So, what Battleground Legacy does is it takes the first turn and allows both players to go at the same time, removing any chance, and allows for the introduction of skill and really taking it to the next level. Not only that, but we also remove the monsters out of the main deck, improving consistency, allowing for a more enjoyable game rather than having a hand where you have all monsters or no monsters. So what we already have done is we already created a list of over 150 unique cards, as well as culminating in over 10 different decks. We've created the rules list and done some play testing, both public and private, as well as we have come up with card templates, and everything is ready to go. What I need some artists, 2D concept artists who are willing to do armors, weapons, stuff like that. I'm also looking for 1 to 2 systems designers, so that way I can get this game for both a physical prototype as well as getting it into tabletop simulator. So with that, I need to do a lot more playtesting because so far I've only had about 4 or 5 decks of the 10 so far actually rigorously playtested, and systems designers can be really useful for that. For the art style, I'm looking for a more stylized art style, not so much exactly like how you would see on Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, but something more of a stylized piece. I'm looking for people who do landscapes or backgrounds, weapons, armors, creatures, stuff like that. And then for the goal for this semester is to have 1 completed deck with the art style, culminating in about 13 to 14 unique cards, and then trying to get that 1 deck into the tabletop engine, and then from there we can go on to making more decks. So far it's just myself. I did have other people who were on this for their SIP, but they graduated, and for a lead artist I'm just looking for someone who has lots of experience. Thank you for your time.
All right, John will be next with Legion, and then after him, Todd Dickinson with Siegebots.
Where did it go?
There's a bunch of other windows down there. Yeah, see, if you can see Legion on the end there.
Oh, okay. Alright, so I'm going to try to make this quick because I actually want to show the demo that we have. Anyway, this is Legion Sovereignty, your strategy, your war. What is Legion Sovereignty? Legion Sovereignty is a game that combines the Conquest gameplay with in-depth strategy and moment-to-moment match gameplay. The overarching Conquest map serves to put each battle into perspective in the sense that the player will know what they are fighting for. As you can see right here, down here is a screenshot of the current game and demo. And the rewards from each map are tangible things that the player can use in order to help them in the preceding battles. Key features, multi-tiered strategy. The game takes place on 3 different maps that all interconnect and affect each other. This means that the player will be thinking on, instead of thinking on like the one map, they have to think in tiers. Player-driven action. When it comes to attacking and conquering the planets, the player will have their own reasons to attack, whether it be purely strategic or the fact that that planet likes cookies and the player doesn't. Key features continued. Player choice. I already went over this, but the player has the power to dictate his own objectives and how his or her own objectives, sorry about that, and yeah, and wage war their own way. AI. The AI, this is what I'm particularly proud of, it is held to the same constraints as the player, meaning that it will not randomly spawn 5 battle cruisers out of nowhere, because that is annoying. Taking a planet. It's a conquest game, so of course taking over planets is important. Basically, pretty simple, you take over the planet by getting the capital. Capital is yours, you get the planet. Now, another cool thing about this is that just because someone else owns the capital and owns the planet does not mean that you can not have a province. Style guide. It's in the Unreal Engine, and Unreal makes everything look pretty. I'm looking for more of a simplistic type, while at the same time looking pretty. I drew on the inspiration from the Star Wars games. Well, not Star Wars, but the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show. It's considerably low poly, but at the same time it looks great. So we kind of want to do kind of like a version of that. Also, StarCraft reference images. Setting. So it's going to be in a futuristic sci-fi setting. Player plays as the Tydaran Republic. This is subject to change when and if new factions are added. Takes place in the Norma arm of the Milky Way galaxy, and there will be some fantasy elements that will be incorporated that I will not tell you about yet because that is a surprise. And here's another screenshot, in-game screenshot of what we have. This is the galaxy map. Who we need. So this is based off a max team of 9. We need roughly 1 to 2 more designers, 3 programmers, and roughly 2 to 3 artists. At the very least, to get the initial build done for what we can release, we could run with 1 of each plus what we already have. So team roles, this is pretty self-explanatory. Again, another in-game screenshot. Current scope. So what I want to get done is we want one game mode being Conquest, 5 planets, 3 provinces each, one faction, that faction having 7 unique units with 4 unique unit upgrades, and so on and so forth. What we currently have a prototype that I'm going to show here in a minute. We have a plan and we have a GDD. Team at large, I'm the lead, John Cavassi, and we have Alex Legal, who has showed much interest in the game. I'm very happy to have him. Perks. Design freedom. Legion takes place in a great big universe, which means there is a lot of room for a lot of really fun mechanics. Unreal Engine. The game is using Unreal Engine, which is a really cool engine that allows designers to take more of an active role in the programming and design process through the use of blueprints. Using Unreal. With Unreal, the dev team is able to use blueprinting and C++ coding in the same project. More perks. I plan to make Legion into a eventual shipped game, either being on Steam, on the Steam Marketplace, or a download link. Endgame. That's basically what I just said. Points of reference. Here's a little logo for the game I kind of been working on. And then this is the reference for all that. And now I have a video. Wow.
You can let it play in the background as we clap for you or something. All right, so Todd with Siege Bots is next. After him will be Jason and Into the Fray.
Okay, so SiegeBots is a game where the user can make their own units and AI completely from scratch, customized. So a lot of games in strategy genres like Legion, you have set units that you use. SiegeBots would allow you to use different parts in a variety of ways to create new units and then write your own AI using the pieces that you've created. With the end goal of being able to watch your units duke it out in arena-style matches. So the core mechanic is creating your own AI, and the 4 pillars of game design are overcoming challenges by assembling your bots. The bot and AI assembly should feel like a puzzle that when you solve it, you feel excited about the result. And the parts themselves work together to create interesting behavior. And each part is kind of unique in appearance and functionality from other parts to allow new behaviors to be created. So the art style I'm kind of going for is low poly with like realistic gritty textures, slightly futuristic, like those. As far as the milestones go, I wanted to have 15 additional bot pieces fully modeled, textured, and functional. 1 scenario or level for the players to test their units. More efficient saving and loading for the bots, because right now it's really inefficient. It's large files for saving and loading, and kind of a method to showcase the communication of the parts with each other, like having different parts associated with different other parts. So the current team is myself, Christopher Godina, he's a designer, and Rogers, our producer. So what I'm kind of looking for as far as a team is 3 to 4 artists who want to do low poly 3D art, texture art, UI art. Designers, 2 to 3. Mostly systems design to set up the behind the scenes work, and 1 level designer to kind of create the playing field. And programmers, 1 to 3, experienced in C# to kind of work on all the systems and implement everything. The benefits of the project, it's SIP approved, so if you need a SIP, you can do that. You can work with alumni who've graduated from UAT, and it's a good portfolio piece. Thanks for listening.
All right, Jason's team Into the Fray. After them is Ian and Ian with Firebreak.
Yeah.
That's Kingpin, by the way.
Yes. Or Lex Luthor, whichever you prefer.
Scarface.
Yeah. Say hello to my little friend.
I'm sorry, it's the
Yes,
suit.
Kingpin. Right, we wanted to play some of the music, so we actually have a world-renowned composer that's going to be helping us with our game. And this is what he composed for our initial soundtrack when you enter the game. The game is called Into the Fray, and our company is called Funlight Games. Alright, so the details of the game is that we're creating a survival, first-person shooter, massively multiplayer online game. The survival aspects of the game will include fear, adrenaline, exhaustion, sleep, hunger, and environmental considerations. The game will be released on a PC initially, with a future expansion into Xbox and PlayStation 4. The game engine will be Unreal, and C++ will be one of our primary sources of coding that we're looking for. Next slide. This is an actual in-game render from our engine. You can see the level of detail. The art style that we're going for is a 4K ultra realistic graphics. So the ideal setting is realism and historical accuracy. Next slide. The game is set in World War II, and we will be following the entire campaign of the history of World War II. Every object developed within the game will actually be based off of historical research, and we'll be implementing it into the game with 4K graphics and adding a realism to the system. So the large-scale warfare means that you will not be entering into a first-person shooter where it's just a flash map. The maps are set to be 162 kilometers in size, and they're meant to be large-scale warfare. Additionally, it will not be a quick match. It will be a long, drawn-out siege meant to simulate military warfare. The other aspect is we're adding a realistic, we already have a Newtonian mechanics physics system built into the game engine. We have a functioning environmental and weather system which allows for transition from winter, summer, and fall, all through the time scale of the game. We are creating an interactive character UI system where the actual, instead of having UI on the screen, you'll actually have a UI on the body of the character. So when they're looking for their ammo or anything like that, they will actually have to check their body to be able to determine what their status is. Next slide. True Sky is the other thing that we'll be using. We have licensed for our game as well that will be creating the beautiful scenery in the sky and weather effects. Next slide. This is our winter season. You can see here, this is another in-game render. If you can look at the detail of the trees themselves, we're using photogrammetry to create all of our game assets. Next slide. Here's the fall. And as you can see with the scale of the map, these are going to be very large scale arenas. Next slide. And here's our summertime. Next slide. This is a character developed by our wonderful artist Molly, and as you can see, this is meant to demonstrate where you would look on the uniforms of the characters to determine what your different uses are. So if you want to use an E-tool to dig a trench, for example, you would have to actually reach down onto your uniform, pull it off like you would in real life, and begin digging a ditch. Or if you want to gain food, you have to reach into your pack. The goal of this game is to create the largest scale realism of any game that has ever been done. Next slide. This is just a sample image from the True Sky to kind of demonstrate what True Sky can do and sort of the beauty and the cinematics of the game itself. Next slide. So what are we interested in? We are interested in environmental artists, modular architecture, because modular architecture helps us to save on memory to be able to create these large-scale maps. We need vehicle designers, character artists. We have an amazing character artist now, but you'll be assisting them with building more assets. We have we need FX artists, an animator, a game designer. One of our biggest things is we need programmers, because we currently have one amazing programmer but he could definitely use some help. So the primary focus would be on vehicles and character development, so implementing animations as well as getting the vehicles moving and implementing the animations. The other aspect is going to be a 2D artist for textures, which will be using Substance Painter. Next slide. This is our current team, and this is who we are currently working with. So in total, we have a total of about 50 years of in-game experience from the industry. So.
And if one final note I'd like to add real quick is just to really give a good scale of the size of the project, our current game design document is at 450 pages and unfinished still.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, give my hand. All right. Ian with Firebreak. After him will be Austin with Weapons Forge. Yeah. No? You're not doing it? Yeah. it's your next. You do it one way or the other.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ian. This is the other Ian. And we are Love Bear Studios, and we are presenting Firebreak. It is an isometric squad-based sci-fi shooter, in-the-moment action, not turn-based stuff. We're drawing inspiration for cooperative and squad-based mechanics similar to that of Dark Souls, including the PvP. The aesthetic, somewhat graphical, how best to describe it? The realism of real world without the high fidelity graphics because it's isometric, similar to Shadowrun. The interactivity between your squads, your squad mates, and other NPCs on any kind of level through Mass Effect, and the gunplay and UI elements similar to that of XCOM without the turn-based qualities. So Team Lava Bear is currently 6 people, consisting majoritively of alumni, the only exception being Bryce here, who is an upperclassman, close to graduation. Our 2 programmers, the ones on the bottom right, and Bryce is our only artist, with Buffy being our lead designer and Parker being our assistant designer as well as community manager. So what we currently have, all sorts of documentation. We have pretty much all of our pre-production complete. We have an art style guide, game design document, tech design document, backlog of everything that we need, as well as proper recognition as a company, Lava Bear Studios. And our production pipeline works through Gitkraken for all of our pushes and pulls for versions. We use Google Drive for any kind of external documents that aren't needed there. We're going to be developing an Unreal Engine, our current version being 17.2. And our backlog can easily be converted over to Axosoft in case we need to account for hours for production studio. We have our own Discord server for communication, as well as uploading any files that aren't immediately needed on the drive. And we plan to use licensing for Autodesk, 3ds Max, and Maya for a full release, which I will get to in just a second. But first, this is what we currently have for our demo reel. It is a guy that looks at people and shoots out balls of death, and he can go around a white box level fighting other people that shoot out their own balls of death and try and seek out the player if they see him. We also have very, very simple locked door mechanics where if a door is unlocked, it's a little hard to see there, but it's got a green light. It'll lift up and down with futuristic teleportation technology. But if they move over to white box, for instance with this locked door, they won't be able to do anything, but, oh wow, they skipped it really quick there. But the little white box right here, upon being touched, that unlocks all of the red doors in the nearby area, so the player has to look around the environment or talk to certain people that might give them access to other areas of the level. From there, that's pretty much our short spiel, but what we plan to do is expand that into about 20 to 30 minute missions, expanding from a direct line, which would take you directly to a big finale boss, or you could go to a few different interactions between some factions that are fighting their own wars right now that might have a positive or negative impact on the boss that you are currently trying to face. And with that, that would be the first semester. But for the completion of the game, we plan to go for a final release in January of 2019 with about 5 levels, with plans for downloadable content down the line on a PC release through the Steam market at about $15, $12. So what we currently need, the biggest one, is going to be artists. Since we only have 1 artist on the team right now, we need everything from concept art to completely implemented and rigged models. Next would be programmers. We need people that are definitely proficient with C++ or Blueprint, but it's a learning process and we're welcome to help you out as needed. From there, we're going to need designers for a lot of the story elements, and big ones are white boxing, level design, and balance. From there, we could also use some sound designers, and if there are any other roles that you feel are interesting or might be beneficial for the team, feel free to bring it up. We might be able to take you on. So for the closing notes, we plan to do a actual full release to not only buff out people's portfolios, but also make a little bit of money. So as a result, it won't necessarily be an innovation project in and of itself, but if you wish to bring forward an idea for your student innovation project, bring it up with us. Be reasonable, but we could probably bring it in. But since we are a full company with a proper game that we want to release in a professional environment, we want to do full internships going into spring semester. So with all that said, hope to see you next year, and thank you for listening.
That's not how I started. So, Austin with the Weapons Forge SIP. It's a tool for designers. And then actually last, we have 2 videos from online students coming in, or not online students, but alumni. 2 games from Ben Pope's game or company, Live in the Game, or Live in the Game, sorry. Live in the Game. Live, live. They're spelled the same.
I'm gonna die. Okay, so what I'm pitching isn't actually a game. It'll be a tool for designers, as Margaret said. It's my SIP project, and I'm basically just going to explain to you what it is. The description, if you care to read, is it's going to be something for designers to quickly create new weapons. They can upload their own assets. It's going to come with a variety of assets pre-built in, hopefully, if I can get enough artists on the team. The weapons are going to be built modularly, so like the blade will be its own part, the handle, the hilt, everything will be its own part. I'm currently only focusing on melee weapons for the scope because I just have a semester to do it, hopefully. Yeah. So current members, it's just me. That's me. The people I need is 2 to 3 programmers, a designer, some 3D artists, and then maybe a marketer because I would like to put this on the asset store for purchase or download. Benefits, it can be used for a SIP project. You can potentially make money off of it, and I often bring food, so if you're hungry, you're basically guaranteed to get fed. The current scope is I'm only trying to focus on melee for right now, but if I can get that done through most of the semester, I would like to move on to like future, more shooty weapons, so like you can be used for like handguns or first-person shooters, stuff like that, to allow designers to quickly build their weapons. Milestone 1 is just creating the basic infrastructure, getting some of the art assets done, having the designers help me build a UI system that is easy for them to use, stuff like that. Milestone 2 is adding on infrastructure, working on how the weapons change, the kind of things you can upload and change into so they fit the asset, so you could like have a pre-built model and then you can upload it and it'll break it into the parts it needs to be, so you can switch out pieces and parts. Testing to make sure everything works, because that's a pretty important thing if it's going to be done in a semester. Finishing everything, and then the UI is easily usable for the designers. I wanted a variety of weapon assets, so it wouldn't just be like one art style, stuff like that. It'd be like a realistic, a cartoony, a comic book, an anime, low poly, high poly, stuff like that, so that multiple game companies that were interested in this could buy it and use it for their projects. But yeah, that's about it. You're on the team.
All right.
I'm
Who knows Ben Pope? Still a few of you, yes. So he's got a long history with the UAT Game Studios, and he is currently based in Colorado. But today he's joining us. Just gonna pop right in there via the YouTube channel. He has 2 games to pitch to you today.
Hello, everyone.
Whoop.
This
Audio.
is Benjamin Pope,
There you go.
CEO of Live the Game LLC. Right? Hello, everyone. This is Benjamin Pope, CEO of Live the Game LLC. I am an alumnus of UAT and founded the studio while at the school in 2015. We are made up of many alumni from the UAT, plus others right around the globe. We moved our studio to Denver now and have branched out there, but still have a strong connection to UAT. Having worked in the Greenlight program years ago, for multiple semesters, we had an amazing experience. The project we used mirrored the reflective resolution, flourished in the program, but had to be placed on a pause so we could work on a few other projects for now. And we have since published one game, Lunar Sea, through our work with Denver University. We have also released a demo for another, Rye Reveries, and are working primarily on the 2 projects we're pitching to Greenlight today. We now have learned even more of the process of development and have structures in place to help get the projects to where they need to be as a benefit of these early experiences. I'm now going to hand off the presentations to the directors of operations for each project, and would like to say how excited we are to be continuing our work with UAT and the students in the pitching today once again.
Greetings everyone, my name is Alex Thompson and I am the Director of Operations for Rye Reveries. It's a point-and-click adventure game series that will feature famous figures throughout history placed in stories that combine real works in a dreamlike scenario. First venture will be showcasing Edgar Allan Poe. The pillars of our game design which will guide you are dark humor, choice, and authenticity. The main focus of the game will be retelling, reimagining, or adapting Poe's short stories and poems, giving the player first-hand experiences of each, and these will all take place within the dreamscape of Poe's mind. The art style was developed by Casey Harris, who took heavy inspiration from the indie game Don't Starve, though Rye has a sketchier and inkier look to it. I have only been a part of the team since early this year, and as I understand, Rye's concept comes from a UAT Trinity Game Jam game originally. When I initially joined the project, the first thing that I did was examine its existing documents and assets. I found a lack of direction in past work and discovered a direction by adjusting the original model of having each story being self-contained to one where they are all connected in a single overarching narrative. Following our pillars, the game was overhauled in many capacities thanks to some strong new additions to the project, and as a result the game is on a much healthier course, with strong, reliable people, but alas we are still so few. However, none of us are able to devote as many hours as we'd like, and we seek the help of you all to accelerate, diversify, and enhance the quality of the game. Primarily what we are looking for are writers, designers, animators, and artists. As a writer, you will be focused on writing the dialogue and supplemental events within the overall narrative. This will involve synthesizing your own humor and insight into existing characters and ones that you create to fulfill narrative purposes. As a designer, your primary work will be creating and polishing puzzles, both with inventory objects and isolated screen puzzles. If you have a ton of crazy ideas and love puzzles, then I encourage you to share your talent to create a whole new age of enjoyment or frustration for players. As an animator, you'll be working with a 2D rigging or bone system, such as Sprite 2D, the Duik After Effects extension, or Spine, which I have used for the animations thus far. While many indie games need only a handful of animations, Point and Click provide an additional challenge in their numerous custom situations that will provide a great deal of practice with all kinds of actions. Lastly, we are still seeking artists, specifically to help illustrate scenes for isolated puzzles, inventory and on-screen items, or possibly additional effects to be overlaid on scenes. What's most important to us is that you're able to match the art style of the game. Working on any game can be very time-consuming and stressful, but Live in the Game provides a lenient approach to schedules which I am very grateful for. You'll be given work on a weekly basis, but it should not impede with your own studies and passion projects. As the director for Rye Reveries, I wish for everyone on the team to succeed, but also to keep a healthy life balance, which is something all too often ignored by us game devs. I have estimated that the game will take about 2 years to complete. No, 2 years, who has time for that, right? The main proponent of this estimate is that I am the sole designer, writer, animator, and project lead currently. If we can get all the right people we need, the game would likely be done just in time for Halloween next year. I won't abandon you on your tasks, but I also won't dictate what you do. All that I ask is for you to follow the pillars of dark humor, choice, and authenticity. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Hello everyone, my name is Carl Rocco, and I am an alumnus of UAT as well as producer for Live in the Game LLC. Model Weapons Expert is a game that follows the story of a post-war veteran, Riley Morris, who players control, who is now a custom weapons expert. They walk through simulated first-person gameplay to assemble selections of weapons for customers and test them at a firing range while under simulated high-stress environments from visual and auditorial cues related to their past experiences with their overbearing drill sergeant Michael Trent and experience in the military. The game will feature indoor and outdoor gun ranges that mirror similar locations in the real world, in addition to featuring a variety of weapon packs. Having begun development in 2015, the game has had made some major advancements in recent months that include the completion of various assets from the indoor and outdoor environments. The development team consists of UAT alumni, which is unique, but as we look to further development in order to release the demo, hiring additional staff is crucial in order to meet the 2-semester window, so we look forward to filling those spots. The demo's release will be within 3 to 6 months depending on how quickly we can fill those holes in our development staff. Model Weapons Expert's demo will see a release on the PC platform with an eventual port over to virtual reality.
Thanks everyone for your time watching our project videos. Check out our locations on social media and more, and feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have.
Fantastic. Give him a hand. He's streaming. Ken Pope has an excellent reputation with the UAT Game Studios. He's put out a number of projects.
You can do almost anything with it.
Shut that off.
You know, you just take this.
Nobody wants to see this.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
all
Long
right.
Python. Udemy. Okay.
All right, before we go forward, just give yourselves a round of applause. It's an amazing group of projects.
All right, so we had 16 games pitch, and we still have time till it's noon. Wow, that's crazy. So we just like boom, 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 got it done. I can tell you right now, as one of the people who has to do the judging, holy effing crap, this is going to be hard. Okay, so good job. I mean, that is really impressive. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take an hour break. We're going to meet back at 1. That means be here at freaking 1. Okay, but we're going to take an hour break. Us as game faculty will get together. We'll decide on which teams will be selected. When you guys come back, not only we're going to tell you that, you have to wait a little bit, but we're going to have the green light celebration. We're going to have the teams. We're going to do team pictures. We're going to have awards given out, and so on. So that's what's going to go on. Derek can give any last information because he's standing up. It looks like he wants to say something.
I covered most of it. I kind of agree. You know, some of you need to suck more.
Make it easier for to cancel you out.
Make it easy. It's nice when I can just cross 5 of them off the list to start, but yeah, this is going to be tough. So I'll reiterate what I said when we started. Don't take not getting greenlit as you did badly. Those were amazing. There's only so much capacity that we have. I would love to greenlight everything and have 500 people working in my studio, but that's just not reality. So I foresee some fights. We usually don't share those with you guys. But yeah, I think there's going to be some arguing in the room here in a minute. So great job. It was really, really good to see. The pitches were good. The demos were good. The presentations, just as an overall whole, were really, really well done. You guys communicated good information. And like I said, the decision might come down to not just wow, these two were good, but this one is a certain style or a certain genre or a certain need or something like that. So very well done. See you guys all at 1.
All right.